salutations, and a clenched fist salute. Welcome y bienvenidos to the Outlaw News, the voice of the barrio, the voice of the Vato Loco, the voice of the voiceless. I hope everyone came through with their critical thinking beanies on and has their Cortezes on laced extra tight. Because today, the Outlaw continues with part 2 of an alternative, in-depth profile and perspective on one Hollywood celebrity registered rapist, Rene Boxer Enriquez. Let's begin by recapping with what we learned in our previous video, part 1. We covered and explored Marvel comic book super echelon gangster Snitch rapist Boxer Enriquez's parole and how Boxer accuses his family of physically and sexually assaulting him in front of the parole board. We touched on how mainstream media, law enforcement, and the Snitch influencer community intentionally hide or try to downplay Megan's Law celebrity rapist Boxer's 1981 conviction for forcefully raping an intoxicated teenage girl, plus the excitement the YouTube Snitch influencers are expressing over the news, intellectual, articulate, comic book echelon, dope addict, gangster, rapist Boxer Enriquez's parole, and wonderful comments of support celebrity rapist Boxer Enriquez is receiving on social media platforms from all his fanboy groupies. In today's part 2, we're covering Megan's Law celebrity snitch rapist Boxer Enriquez joining the gang at the young age of 12, the pt.2 gang. An over-glamorized drug addict gangster, Boxer's first 2 crimes that sent him to prison at the young age of 18 years old. A drug-fueled string of robberies and participating in the forced gang raping of a young teenage girl. Now that we covered the previous part 1, let's start with part 2. Please forgive me though if the intro and the outro of this video might sound a little different than the actual profile itself. The Outlaw recorded them separately, so I apologize for any sound quality issues. Now let's continue with this profile. Now everyone pretty much knows this guy. I mean, he is probably the top celebrity snitch influencer. So, but I'm gonna say it anyways. Rene registered rapist Boxer Enriquez belongs to the Artista 13, which if I was them, I would be ashamed. I won't even tell people this guy used to be part of us. But Rene registered rapist Boxer Enriquez used to be a member of the Arta, let's say it proper. Arta 13 gang. Apparently, because of his older brother, who he says in front of the parole board rapes him, forced him, along with his homeboys, to get jumped in at the age of 12. Now, this might not seem important, but it is to me. In any good prison investigator, law enforcement investigator, law enforcement psychologist, criminal psychologist, and prison psychologist would see what happened to Rene Boxer Enriquez as a clear sign of who he is and what an outcome he's going to have in the future, as long as he continues in the path he goes. So let's go. At the age of 12, he's jumped into the Arta 13 game. He cries while he's getting jumped in, so much that they stop to tell him to stop crying, because real gangsters don't cry. I want you to think about that. They stopped and told him, stop crying, because real gangsters don't cry. From day one, he showed signs that he was weak, easily influenced, and can be easily manipulated by people of authority or who have influence over him, such as those young men did. Now, if I'm a psychologist, prison investigator, law enforcement, that light bulb's ringing in my head, saying, this guy's got potential for being an informant. I could flip this guy. That's all I'm saying, but I want you to think about that. Because that's what they think about. When they're looking at your files, or they're learning who you are, they're trying to build a psychological profile on how to break you. And that right there is a red flag and a light bulb to any good criminal psychologist, that person can be broken. That's it. Let's go on. Like I said, he's a member of the Rapist gang. As he gets older, as a young teen, apparently I believe he committed some crimes, so I don't really want to talk about it because they're meaningless. Let's talk about what matters. Right as a young adult, 17, 18, you have to pay attention. He hasn't become an adult yet. He hasn't gone to prison yet. He's gonna go to prison, right? What are the first crimes that sent him as a young man to prison? He gets caught for robbery. He gets caught for robbing over 20 stores, liquor stores, gas stations, and convenience stores, okay? I want you to think about that. Because we all have homies that are doing time for robbing one store, maybe robbing 2 stores, maybe even just a few stores, okay? And think about how many years they're doing behind bars. Because this is important as we go along. Now another thing I want to point out about this. He was robbing these places. As he's robbing these places, he self-admits that he's strung out on drugs because he's doing every drug possible. Coke, probably smoking crack, shooting heroin, sniffing glue, drinking, weed, everything. LSD, I think he even says he does. Okay, so I want you to think about that. This fool's running around, spun out of his mind. He ain't banging. He ain't putting it down for the hood. He ain't robbing those stores because he wants to rise to the ranks of super gangster. He's robbing those stores because he's a dope fiend. Period. Try to water it down, try to spin it, but the paperwork and his own words speak volumes. Dope fiend. Okay? He didn't go to jail for being a gangster, for showing gangster tendencies, gangster behavior. That's not John Gotti gangster shit. That's not Carlo Gambino gangster shit. Okay? That's T-Bone from Colors shit. Okay? Loco from South Central shit.
Since then, I've been committing some robbery with armor.
Okay? He wasn't even trying to be Ray Ray, running around a loco, spun out of his mind. Okay? So if you respect that and see that as gangster, that's your problem. That's why you're always running into problems. Because those are your views in life. That's gangster. Me personally, at a very young age, before I became an adult, around the same time, he was running around, spun out, doing all that dumb shit, 17 and 18. I was told by a fellow homie that at some point in your life, anyone running amok and claiming to be, wanting to be gangster, needs to realize that either you're a gangster or you're a drug addict. You're either about the block or you're loyal to that rock. You're down for your homies and your hood and not your habit. That at some point, to be something, if you want to rise to be anything, or to have some self-respect on the streets, you have to come to terms and realize, are you a gangster or a drug addict? Because you can't be both. I want you to think about that, okay? Now let's talk about the other crime, because he was also arrested for another crime. The one crime no one wants to talk about, the one crime everyone tries to downplay, the one everyone tries to skirt and not even mention so they can glamorize the guy. Right before he turned 18, him and his homies were at a hood party and found a young drunk girl and decided it would be a good idea to forcefully gang rape her. Okay? Now we really don't know what happened, and I don't have the influence snitch influencers do, so according to them, it's not what it seems. You know how it is when a girl is drunk, so I take it that you're probably one of those young guys that participated in something like that, or allowed something like that. Me personally, again, I don't believe you can be gangster and be on dope. I don't think there's anything gangster about a bunch of fools gang raping a girl. Now, what I think is gangster is a bunch of fools balling out of control and having females around them. They're like, hey, we fucking love you guys. You guys are banging. You guys are on top of your game. And get naked and have wild orgies like you see on the movies or the rappers or whatever. That's gangster, bro. Watching, being aware, or participating in something like that is straight chomo shit. Right? The same people that use that term to talk shit on other people, yet now when it comes to celebrity snitch rapist, he's not a chomo. He's not a sicko. Okay? He's gangster. He's an echelon gangster, okay? So let's point it out again. He went to jail for being a dope fiend, for robbing for his habit, not his hood, for being loyal to that pipe rock, not the block. He went to jail for sexually gang raping a girl. Think about that. Again, if you think any of those things that he's in jail for the first time are gangster, you are seriously fucked in the head and confused as an individual, because there's nothing gangster about that, and there's nothing that this man from day one deserves to be glorified. He deserves to be put in the proper perspective of who he is. A sexual deviant from the get-go, which will be a pattern that he has, hurting women all through his life and being a dope fiend. Okay? So now let's move on. He was arrested for being a drug addict and rape. Oh no, I want to bring up one other point. All these people that try to downplay it, or all these people that don't want to touch the subject because they're told not to, but their content is not controlled, right? Would you be saying that was your daughter that got gang raped? That was your sister, your mother, your grandmother that had to endure that incident, right? Would you like it if somebody was publicly degrading you or your loved one, downplaying it, making them feel guilty, right? And you wonder why there's a Me Too movement, right? That shit doesn't exist, right? Men don't try to make women feel guilty for what was done to them, right? Right? It's really easy to speak when you're told to say something, or when you don't think using your head, and then realize, wait, turn around, look at your daughter, or go into the room where she's on the computer. Go into your daughter's room where she's in the computer. Go stare at your wife's eyes. Go stare at whatever female is next to you right now, and ask yourself, would you be glamorizing that man or downplaying that incident that was that person? Think about that, okay? And then leave a comment that the outlaw's a hater, that the outlaw's a conspiracy theorist, that the outlaw doesn't think righteously, right? My cyber outlaws, this ends part 2 of today's registered rapist Rene Enriquez in-depth perspective and profile. On the Outlaw's next video, part 3, your boy the Outlaw will hit you with comic book intellectual rapist celebrity gangster boxer Enriquez's 1989 parole, and the short freedom as a so-called creme de la creme cut above the average prison gangster, demigod rapist, king of the streets. So in closing, while mainstream media and law enforcement hide boxers' rape conviction, and the snitch influencer community is doing its best to downplay or water down the true nature of Megan's Law celebrity rapist snitch boxer Enriquez's 1981 forced rape conviction by sidestepping his rape conviction when profiling rapist Enriquez, or claiming to have second-hand credible sources who say boxer's 1981 incident is not what it seems and a misunderstood incident. Well, I leave you, Outlaw Renegades, with a first-hand, first-person source, which is clearly more credible than any mystery man so-called second-hand credible sources the snitch influencer community claim to have. The Outlaw leaves you with celebrity rapist snitch boxer Enriquez's own 2018 under oath testimony, where comic book gangster rapist boxer Enriquez himself, during cross-examination, admits the true nature of his 1981 rape conviction. And creme de la creme echelon rapist Gangster doesn't claim it was a misunderstood incident or not what it appeared to be. When asked if Boxer's 1981 conviction was for forced sodomy, one Rene almost Enriquez answers yes. So till next time, stay suited and booted and strapped with those critical thinking beanies, Outlaw Posse. Make sure to like and sub to the Outlaw. Every sub makes the Outlaw's voice louder and more impossible for the snitch influencer community to ignore the truth. The Outlaw is over and out, y ya saben, pensaremos.